Hello, Habon. How are you doing today?
Hi, Zarin. I'm doing well. Thanks so much for asking. How are you?
No worries, I'm good too. Like it's a
Yeah,
really nice, sunny, bright day. Today, let's start off with a bit of a brief introduction about who you are. That would be great.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm a recent graduate from the University of Toronto, Mississauga. I spent 5 years at UTM and I completed a double major in biology and environmental sciences. I absolutely loved my time at UTM and I had the privilege of graduating at the 2020 class valedictorian.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And
Congratulations on
yeah,
that. That's
thank
a
you.
that's a huge success.
Thank you
And
very much.
how was? Did you enjoy thoroughly your 5 years at campus?
Absolutely. I came in with an interest in science, and
Hmm.
UTM didn't disappoint. There was many opportunities for research, very kind professors, and I had the chance to meet 8 of my really good friends at UTM who were also in the same program. And yeah, it was incredible. It was an incredible place. I will always remember UTM with fondness. I spent the last year as vice president equity at the UTMSU, where I really got to engage with students in our campus. And so it was an incredible experience.
Started getting involved within the community. Like, how did you take that initial step, and how did it go?
I think my interactions with campus started with the student union. You know, we get our bus pass. I spent a lot of time in the student center. They had a bursary program. There were free breakfast Wednesdays. All the clubs were housed in the student center, most of them. So I was involved with the Swan Student Association, but Habitat for Humanity. And I think it was really incredible just seeing how students can come together outside of their classes and not only fundraise, but create spaces for change at UTM, but also in the local Mississauga community as well. And I found myself doing better in the classroom when I was more engaged outside of the
That's
classroom,
very true.
because you develop a lot of skills, you connect with people in the same program, you form study circles, but also it's like you feel like you can see your education going towards something useful in the community, and that was really motivating for me. And it helped me explore different career paths as well. So as what you're exposed to. So I had the chance in fourth year, I actually got interested in running for the vice president equity position because there was a lot of uncertainty with the future of students OSAP and with provincial government changes. So I really wanted to be in a position to advocate for students on campus. And as someone who relied on OSAP, I knew how much of a game changer it is and how it lets people access post-secondary, people who might not be able to if they can't afford it in the first place. So I knew the role the UTMSU played. They always supported me whenever I had a trouble. I knew I could go to the student union. A lot of us has participated in FROSH or many of the campaigns and services and events that the UTMSU runs. So I knew that the vital role they played on campus, but also they helped coordinate hundreds of clubs on campus too, and clubs are the backbone of the student union, right? So
Definitely.
it's just an exciting space, and I ran, and I was graciously elected by students on campus, and from that I developed really relationships with a lot of campus stakeholders, including
Yeah.
administration, and even like the Center for Student Engagement. We worked with them as well,
Yes,
the
definitely
Equity
great
Diversity
connections.
Office,
Yeah.
exactly, and just to make our campus uh, really accessible to everybody and a safe space, a space where we can all come to learn but also excel. So that was probably one of the best experiences of my undergrad.
I have also wanted to ask, I believe UTMSU and different organizations at campus have many volunteer opportunities.
Yes,
So I wanted to ask
absolutely.
you,
Yeah.
how important a role do you think volunteers play in the success of the
Mhm,
UTMSU and their various
mhm.
operations within the community?
Yeah, the volunteers are one of the most important people the UTM to engage with. I have so much respect for volunteers because none of the work uh, that the UTMSU conducts is possible without volunteers, if we're being completely honest. We have volunteers who would show up at 9 a.m. to help us get ready for free breakfast Wednesdays. Volunteers who would show up outside of their class hours, late in the evening, early in the morning to help us run frosh, event, campaign service, who would give their input, who would advise us on like the best directions to take. So volunteers definitely they play a very vital role, and I think I volunteered with the UTMSU before I actually became VP Equity, but it was very much in my first year, random events here and there. It wasn't like long-term sustained volunteering, but even from that experience, I became aware of the services that the UTMSU provides, and that was helpful to me. So I think there's a lot of value in volunteering with the UTMSU because you get to understand what's happening on campus. We are a commuter campus. I think a lot of times students come and then they leave, or they go to study, and there really isn't that connection with the campus.
Yeah.
But there's so many exciting things happening, and I think through volunteering, not only do you expand your social network, but you can contribute to good things that are happening on campus as well. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think in today's world, volunteering is just as valuable as paid work because you're getting the experience and you're giving your time without being compensated monetarily, right? So I think that's that's very unique, and and you get all the experience, connection, friends. I think
and I acknowledge that like some students can't volunteer because they have work or they have other responsibilities, and that there are paid opportunities on campus too. I can imagine. I'm not sure if the Center for Student Engagement.
Yes, we do have lots.
They have paid positions, so like you don't have to volunteer if it's not in your capacity. I know that's not an option for some people. They have responsibilities, so like definitely get involved in ways that you can, whether it's paid or volunteer, and what you can do. Yeah.
So Habon, I like the way that you have been thinking about everyone in equitable way, that some people have access, some people might not have access. So I know you have been VP Equity. How do you think you left an impact being a VP Equity in the community?
There's 3 programs and initiatives that I supported on campus that actually work towards creating more equitable space on campus, but they've existed for a long time and they're very valuable resources. So just keeping them going, I think, was a great success this year. And that includes the food center. So our food center on campus, our student refugee program, and our bursary program. So all of these things, you know, have been impacted by provincial government changes, but also COVID in one way or another, right? So the food bank on campus, I think we've been working this year on trying to raise awareness of where it's located, how students can access it, but a lot of students rely on the food bank to get hygiene or sanitary products, to get food or snacks in between classes. And you know, it's not just students who are of financial need who can use the food bank. We all pay into it, and so it's something that any student can access, and I think that's really important to note. But it's also like, you know, we do have students who are struggling to meet their needs, whether it's through financially, like paying for tuition, housing. This is the reality of a lot of students, is that they're dealing with a lot of things. So we did want to have an option available to them for them to receive food in some ways. And I would really encourage everyone to like subscribe to UTMSU social media to see like what's going to be happening with that this year if they do require food assistance. And our bursary program, the UTMSU historically has given thousands of dollars, you know, to students as bursaries for their needs. And you know, this year I've submitted bursary applications to the UTMSU, and this year I had the opportunity to be on the other end reviewing applications. And you know, it was clear like students on our campus are struggling. There is a great financial need, and just going through that, you know, it really broke my heart, because there's students who are in very difficult life situations, and they're showing up every day to campus, and they may or may not be getting the help that they need. So running this program to me with the UTMSU, it meant a lot, because even if we were giving a small amount, if we were going to help that student stay on campus or stay enrolled, it was a big step. And the student refugee program that we run. So I don't know if all students know, I think we've brought over 10 to 15 refugee students in the past few years. So every year we bring one from across the world, and that comes from the generous contributions of students on our campus who pay in a small WUSC fee with their tuition every year and their fees. And like, so that's also been transforming to see how that process and how that adjustment to Canada, but to the program and like in our community at UTM goes. And it's an incredible opportunity to give someone a chance at education as well. Yeah.
Definitely. I am so glad to hear that from you, because I'm sure many of us are not aware of all the great steps that UTMSU has taken, because we see the ones that are in person, but all the great stuff like bringing in all the refugees. I think UTMSU was able to target some of the struggles that minorities may have faced, and being able to like overcome that, right? How does your previous role with campus organizations aligns with your new role, which is
Mhm.
the advisory for the Prime Minister's Youth Advisory Council? Do you think it has
Yeah,
any affiliation?
definitely. Like my experience at UTM allowed me to be in this position and gave me the support and the confidence through volunteering, but also my education to excel on the youth council. And the youth council actually joined in my third year of undergrad, and it will be my term ends this August. But so it's been 2 years, approximately 2 years. And on the youth council, we advise Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his government, his cabinet as well. We get to speak with some of the ministers and just the government of Canada generally on youth issues or issues that are in our community. And I joined the youth council at an exciting time. So when Canada was working on developing its first national youth policy. So Canada doesn't have a youth policy, and that summer we went all over the country and we were leading dialogue sessions, we were attending policy jams, and we were talking to youth across the country on like health, environment, truth and reconciliation, employment, housing, education, all issues that and like areas that we have opportunities and challenges. So it was really eye-opening, and I started to see outside of like the Toronto and Ontario bubble, and I learned so much about the country and federal government and the processes and political processes, but also policy making on that level and what goes into it. And definitely the research I conducted at UTM helped me because I was researching around immigrant, refugee access to healthcare within those communities, but also I was working with some gun violence initiatives in my local community. So bridging the gap between the government's understanding of youth violence and the realities on the ground was also really interesting. And just working towards like amplifying the student voice where I could, whenever there was something the federal government had jurisdiction over, you know, it was a really unique experience. Yeah.
Amazing. So I'm sure you're proud to be where you are today. And I
Yes.
wanted to just know, what resources would you suggest to newcomers and new students coming in that might help them take the same steps or take same steps as you and reach where they want to be?
Absolutely. And like, thank you. I think all students are amazing and we have the opportunity to realize our dreams. And sometimes we are our biggest barriers. But what the piece of advice I would give is like, undergrad is hard. Studying while juggling work or volunteering is not easy. And like first year, I stopped working. I kind of put a pause on my volunteering, and it was probably one of my most difficult years of undergrad because it's transitioning from high school to university. It was difficult. I was taking bio, chem, calculus. It was a rough year, along with 2 other electives I had. So it wasn't fun, but I could have given up after that year and said, hey, maybe this path is not for me. But I started to excel, when after that adjustment. So there is an adjustment period. You're not wrong to find it challenging. Sometimes high school prepares differently for universities, and students have different experiences. First year might be easy for some, it might be challenging for some. And I didn't really get involved on the UTM campus until the beginning of third year. So like it's never too late to get involved. But definitely I would tell everyone to be involved with something outside of the classroom because it gives you purpose, it gives direction, it really allows you to apply your learning to the community. And I think the community and being around like-minded students to me was like the greatest motivational push. So, and don't sell yourself short. Like your voice matters. Just because you're a student doesn't mean you can't be doing other things outside of the classroom. I was working a part-time job, but also looking with community organizations I could do fellowships and internships with or research for, and just like how can I be useful to the progress for good. And like I think we all have something useful to give, whether it's our creativity, our research, anything. That there's so many talents at our campus, and I've seen it over the past 5 years. So don't sell yourself short and just take a risk. Even if you think you're not 50% qualified for something, apply to it anyways. Get comfortable with rejection and like not getting a position. Like that isn't the end of the world. And the faster that I got comfortable with that, the easier it was for me to excel.
That's a great point. Being comfortable with the rejection. I think
Yeah,
all of us are very afraid of that.
Yeah, and I don't blame anyone.
Definitely. It's just starting, like taking a start.
Exactly.
I think, yes, just progressing after that. That's amazing. Thank you for all the great tips, Habon. Just the last question is that I'm going to address the elephant in the room, which is that we're going through a major pandemic right now. So, how would you encourage students to keep engaged, to be active, and to be positive during this time of crisis?
Definitely. I think it now more than ever is it more important to be connected and to know where our resources and support lie. And I know the Center for Student Engagement has a lot of resources, and so does the UTMSU. So following or the Robert Giuseppe Academic Skills Center, the library, follow these their accounts online, keep up with what resources they have, know that you're not alone, and if you're struggling, to reach out. So definitely make sure to reach out to the organizations and the resources we have on campus, because they're funded for that reason. And I think first year I was very much like, okay, I'm going to go to class and I'm going to go home, and like I didn't really want to interact with all of these other things.
Start off as that.
Yeah. And then there's the Facebook groups that we have, and like whether it's for course selection, for people talking about their experiences of courses, or whether it was study groups that people create, like Facebook Messenger groups of study, definitely join these. And if it doesn't exist, create one, because I found the resources shared within these chats, but also the studying that happened leading up toward the test was really helpful for me. Sometimes you don't understand a concept, we don't have the option to be studying in person or in the same ways, or we might, but it might be socially distanced, who knows. So just because we're not together in person doesn't mean that we can't be connected. And I hope students really find ways to connect and find the support they need on campus and know that they're not alone. Yeah.
I love the way that you work for the community and you think so much about the social aspects as well as the conflicts that exist. And I'm so glad that you have such great ideas about it. So I'd like to end this meeting with like a huge shout out and a lot of thank you. Thank you so much. It was great conversing with you, and I hope you keep up the good work and we all get inspired from you.
I appreciate this interview, and I look forward to looking at all the videos that you folks create.